Hey everybody, Jacob Suntra, managing editor at fearthefin.com with Marcus White, staff writer over at Fear the Fin. We're going to talk about last night's 3-2 overtime win and kind of talk a little bit about the World Juniors and then preview the next couple games on the Sharks' schedule. Let's start with the Sharks win last night. Marcus watched the game live. I watched the game with the replay after the fact. I was at the Avalanche Flames game last night. So Marcus, let's start with your initial thoughts on the Sharks win. It was not exactly a dominant performance by anyone except for perhaps Martin Jones.
Yeah, he was really the Sharks' best player last night, and they absolutely needed him to be. The Sharks flew out to Anaheim yesterday. Rarely happens, but because of a quirk in the CBA where they don't allow any travel or practices on Christmas Eve to Boxing Day, the Sharks had to fly this morning to a game. Why they would schedule a road game for them that same day, a little strange, but I don't make the NHL schedule. Yeah, they did not play very well, but they held on, and they got to overtime. And when you have a strange travel situation like that, that's really all you can ask for. And it continues to be encouraging that it feels like pretty much every time they've needed Martin Jones to stand on his head and steal a game for them this season, he has. He has had games where he's not played very well, but I don't think that's really come in games where the Sharks have been thoroughly outclassed, other than maybe the Detroit game early in the season. But certainly since November, every time they've needed him to, steal a win for them, he has, which is very encouraging going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the Sharks played pretty terribly, pretty much up and down the lineup. I think in particular, the third pairing was not very good, and the fourth line was pretty terrible, which I think is basically how it works, in a night where everyone is struggling. I think the bottom guys are more likely to get really feasted upon. And I think as much as it was the Sharks played poorly, Anaheim also played really, really well, which is something they haven't done really at any point this season. The Sharks in there, so this was the fourth game against Anaheim. In the three previous, the Sharks had really, controlled possession in two of the three games. Only won one of the three games. Now they've won two. Both those wins have come in overtime. Anaheim now has 6 of a possible 12 total points. That's including the one game left. So they've clinched a 50% point percentage against the Sharks in the season series, which is, doesn't really mean anything other than it being a little bit disappointing considering it's kind of a down year for the Ducks. That's just from more of a bragging perspective than anything else. I would like to see the Sharks play a little bit better against a team that I just don't think is very good. It's been a lot of really close games. I think they've all been 1-goal games. Yeah, they have all been 1-goal games, even the two losses. I know it's a road game, and so obviously the Ducks get last change. I think part of the problem here too is that the Sharks continue to fail to optimize their lineup against a team that they really should have that they do have a better roster against, and I think that comes with dressing guys like Michael Haley and Dylan DeMello against a team that has a weaker roster. Haley gets in another fight tomorrow or last night, and I think that kind of thing is, while Michael Haley is definitely better than, the Jared Bowles of the world, you better take advantage of the fact that they're dressing guys like Jared Bowl by dressing, better players. And I think that's something that Pete DeBoer continues to fail to take advantage of. And I think that's just another weakness that is not being addressed fully. Again, while that doesn't really matter that much in a game in December, that's the kind of thing that is going to keep the Sharks from really fully realizing their true potential in games in April and May. And that stuff does matter as much as, people like to pretend that it doesn't. And that matters all through the lineup, the Sharks are not scratching Wayne Gretzky or Bobby Orr, but it doesn't really matter because any amount of incremental talent that you're giving up it matters. It all matters. Everything matters. The NHL is too close and there's too much parity in this league for you to ever, in any situation, give up an edge on your opponent. You just can't really afford to do that. And to say that, you're giving up only a little bit of an edge is, to show that you really actually don't understand anything about hockey at all. in my opinion.
I think he's just showed a big hesitance to make any changes after the Sharks play well in a win. And even after they win and they haven't played very well, although when there's been games where they've won and not looked very good, and he's made a change after that Carolina win just before Thanksgiving, or was that just before Thanksgiving or just after? The win over Carolina comes to mind.
Yeah.
He made some change. They did not play very well in that game. That was another game where it was actually Aaron Dell who pretty much stole that win for them. And he made changes the following game. So I think you're going to see Schlemko back in on Friday against the Flyers. Not sure about the fourth line. Joel Ward got an assist last night, so he probably keeps his spot in the lineup. And the donut line, as it were, since they don't have any natural centers on the fourth line, it hasn't resulted in a loss yet. Yes, I don't think they're being fully optimized, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how long that experiment continues to go, because he seems to be pretty comfortable with Ward taking most of the faceoffs as the fourth line center, basically, which is a role he hasn't really played here in San Jose. I'm not sure how much he's played center in his career and or previously. So going to be interesting to see what happens on Friday against Philly with the fourth line for sure. But I think there's a very good chance that David Schlemko is back in the lineup against the Flyers.
It's also worth noting that we talked about that roster freeze ending.
Yes,
there's some AHL guys that continue to put up points. The Barracuda played again on Monday and beat the Heat. That's the Pacific Division leaders in the AHL right now.
Not the Miami.
No, not the Miami Heat. We're not leading any division at the moment. Nikolai Goldobin had the game winner in that game. That's another 2-point game for him. He's up to 0.82 points per game, which is quite good. But it's really Daniel
season or for his career.
For the season. He'll be a little bit lower for his career. I haven't calculated that. I think he's probably around 0.78. He'll be below 0.8, I believe, for his career. He's at 18 points in 22 games this season.
Right.
It's Daniel O'Regan. I think is a guy that's probably got a really good shot at getting a call up just because he's a center. He's at 1.23 points per game right now. Adam Haluka is up to 0.77 points per game. Those are guys that are knocking on the door a little bit. And I really think, again, the fact that O'Regan is a center and is a little bit older, he's 22 years old, has a lot of experience, obviously playing in college, that is a guy that might get another look here if they feel like they want to make a change on that fourth line. Because, I know they're comfortable with Ward taking faceoffs, and maybe this is a sign that they don't really care about the faceoff stat too much, which, is something I don't have a problem with because I don't think that it matters that much. But I think that the center role is about more than taking faceoffs, certainly. And maybe they think that Ward can deliver on the center front in ways other than in the faceoff circle. And I quite frankly haven't paid close enough attention to how that line is being handled center-wise away from faceoffs and that kind of thing to really comment on that. So maybe they think that's being handled okay. But O'Regan has played really, really, really well with the Barracuda. So, that's a guy that I feel like at the very least doing everything that he can right now to earn a call-up. So that's something certainly to keep an eye on, because both him and Goldobin and Haluka, all three of them are certainly playing well enough with the Barracuda right now to, potentially to earn a call-up.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, we've talked about it the last couple podcasts. If they want to make a move and call a guy up, due to how crunched they are against the salary cap, they would have to send somebody down. Tommy Wingles and Matt Nieto were both scratched last night. They'd have to waive one of those guys, I believe. I don't know would they have to waive Nieto? They would have to waive him, right?
Yes.
He'd have to clear waivers. Okay, yeah. So he'd have to clear waivers, but his whole salary is covered basically by the exemption. And then that would basically, with that exemption, they would then be able to call up a Danny O'Regan. I think if anyone gets called up, it's going to be him or Ryan Carpenter, one of the centers, because based
on positional need. Yeah,
exactly,
I think so
exactly. Because clearly Wingles, I mean, the fact that Wingles hasn't played the last 2 games, I think shows that he has not fully established himself as the fourth line center. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do there. I'm also interested to see in terms of roster decisions what they do with the power play. The power play did not look very good last night. Not sure if that was just general ineffectiveness, as we've kind of seen all season. They haven't been as good as in previous years, at least in terms of scoring goals. I'm not sure about their shot numbers. But DeBoer dropped Marlowe down to the second unit and replaced him with Kevin LeBanc on the top unit. I wonder if we're going to see more changes. Could Chris Tierney get a longer look on the power play? I'm surprised he hasn't really played too much there, other than spot duty here and there. I just maybe it's because some players that are great at even strength, it doesn't really translate to the power play. I thought he looked pretty good there in the preseason, so I wonder if they give him a look on the power play to. But I also think too, last night that's another area where playing David Schubko would have helped a lot.
Yep, missing him on that second unit power play is huge.
There's no natural quarterback on that second unit power play without him there. DeMello's pretty good at moving the puck. I think him and DeMello is a better second power play unit defense pairing than Vlasic Schlumko, but I'd almost rather have the fourth forward and bump up Chris Tierney to that second unit power play than to have 2 defensemen. I mean, it works so well. It's worked so well historically for the Sharks in the first unit. I'm not sure why they don't try it with the second unit, especially given how good Schlumko has been on the power play. So,
yep, absolutely. Frankly, I'd rather see if they don't have Tierney out there, I'd almost rather have LeBanc out there than Vlasic. I mean, yeah, I'm definitely for having 4 forwards out there. And if you're going to have 2 defensemen, Vlasic is not the guy I want out there anyway. I feel like a lot of the times the penalty killers know that they can leave Vlasic alone long enough to the point where he'll end up taking a shot that just goes wide of the net. It's not really very dangerous shooting the puck, and so it just kind of it doesn't really help the Sharks to have him out there in the whole grand scheme of things. But yeah, I would like to see Tierney get a longer look out there. I wouldn't be upset to see LeBanc or Meyer get a look out there as well. But I think that Tierney or LeBanc have both earned shots, to get elongated looks. I think Tierney, especially given just what a good playmaker he is, that he is a really natural fit for this kind of a role. And so I'm surprised he hasn't gotten a longer look. I'm also surprised that given the fact that the power play hasn't converted much, that hasn't played a bigger role into giving Schlumko a leg up on DeMello. DeMello's an okay puck mover, but he's definitely not as good as Schlumko is. So I don't really know what the deal is there. And again, this whole Schlumko saga, I feel like is again something that hasn't been is something DeBoer hasn't really been pressed on very much, and I feel like that's part of the small media market type thing. If this kind of thing was happening in Toronto, I think we would have been pressed a little bit more than it has been here. We've heard nothing, and what he said has been disappointing, to say the least. He hasn't really said anything yet.
Yeah, he's
and he hasn't been forced to say anything.
Yeah, he's evaded, I think, when asked. I think the big questions, I was not there at those practices, so I don't want to. And I was not in those scrums, so I don't want to, make it seem like, I've got the inside scoop. But I think, it happened the first game, and then I think he was asked about it, and Schlumko was pretty candid about it. But then it happened a second game, and it was right before the break, so really wasn't a chance to ask him, after that game until yesterday morning, and then they found out he was scratched again, and now he's ostensibly. I think pretty clearly he won't be scratched on Friday. I'd be pretty surprised if he was scratched on Friday. But yeah, I think when he was asked about it early, and that could be why he wasn't asked about it more, he was definitely a little bit effusive in his answer. And, that's his right as the coach. He doesn't have to, answer the questions head on. But I agree. If a play, if this, maybe a bigger situation, a bigger market, I think it'd be big. But I think that's just because of the tonnage. When there's only a handful of writers at the practices, it's like, okay, we can write about it, but there's not the echo chamber that you get in other markets like Toronto or Winnipeg or Canadian markets where that dominates the sports talk radio. I mean, I've been listening to a good amount of sports talk radio when I've been driving, and I have not heard a single Sharks conversation.
Yeah, I think to me the biggest thing though is that when you ask the question, it's not enough to say, "Hey, why is Schlemko scratched?" It's like, "Oh, we just when we look at the compete level, we want to start the guy that has the best chance to win." Then that's not good enough to be like, "Oh, okay." You have to ask, "Oh, why do you think that Dylan DeMello gives you the best chance to win?" Oh, well, it's like, no, I mean, how about specifically why you think he gives you, you have to needle him. There's nobody that is doing that is needling him about why he actually thinks that. And that I think is a little bit disappointing. And I understand that,
I think it's also too, because the decision has quote unquote worked. I mean, I don't think they've played as well. I don't think he's played as well as Schlemko.
Because it hasn't worked at all.
They've won each of those games. And, I think, to some, that means, okay, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
But
Right. We're all going to take a big correlation causation class this offseason, guys. we're going to go over to San Jose State. We're going to get a nice philosophy professor to give us a course, and it's going to be great. We're all going to go. I can't wait.
That could be fun.
That could be fun. It could be a lot of fun. I can't wait. So yeah, we've got Philly coming to town this week. That's always fun to have an East Coast team come to town. East Coast, Eastern Conference. They're pretty close to the coast. You can throw a rock and hit it.
Yeah.
Whatever. You just got that stupid New Jersey State block in the way. It almost doesn't exist. Philadelphia is kind of a weird team. I think they're okay. I think they'll be better next year. They've got some really interesting players. I mean, they've got some obviously really established good players, and then some young players that I think will be quite good. The Shane Gostisbeheres of the world and the Voraceks, whatever. Obviously,
Provorov.
Provorov. And then obviously the, Claude Giroux's of the world obviously are guys that are, dudes that are very established. I think obviously goaltending has really, really hurt them this year. Steve Mason's been terrible. And he's one of those guys that will have years where he looks like a Vezina winner again and years where he looks like he does this year, like Steve Mason. And so it'll be really interesting to see which version of the Flyers kind of show up to face the Sharks. Do they, I'm not sure if this is going to be like a back-to-back situation for them, or if they get the Sharks get them fresh, and I'm looking at that.
Flyers play today, Wednesday night rivalry against the Blues.
Okay, so that means the Sharks.
It was marketed as a Wednesday night rivalry, I guess, because they came into the league in the same year they're rivals.
The Wednesday night rivalry is just the pinnacle of the NBC and NHL partnership. We don't really try that hard. We actually wish we weren't doing this, but here we go anyway.
I mean, it works when you have Sharks Kings, or you have like even if you have like Penguins Bruins, like they're not in the same division, but they have playoff history together. Like that.
Plus, I mean, everyone's a rival with the Bruins, right? I mean, it's like, if the idea is that, these teams hate each other, right? Oh, everyone hates the Bruins, so that works.
Exactly.
Sure, why not?
When you do the cross-conference stuff, it's a huge stretch.
It's like, oh man, Coyotes and Avalanche.
Exactly.
Why not? Sure.
Yeah. They've played each other a few times. Sure.
Why not? Maybe. All right.
Their goaltending's been awful this year. 908 for Steve Mason, and Michael Neuvirth's honestly been worse. 859 save percentage. And that was one of the best goaltending tandems last year. When you have guys that are like the middle of the pack of goalies in the league, it can swing one way or the other pretty quickly. Yeah,
you're not going to win a whole lot of games doing that.
Nope.
They are at even strength. They are third from the bottom, with your Carolina Hurricanes at the bottom, then Colorado, and then St. Louis at the very bottom. So the good news is the Sharks have dragged themselves down. They were down near the bottom at the beginning of the year. Now I think they're in the top 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, 10th in the league at even strength. So Martin Jones has dragged himself up from the pit of despair up to 10th in the league. And Dallas is up to 7th now. So what a time to be alive.
Dallas?
Dallas, yeah.
Oh my, that's shocking.
So laughing all the way to the bank with that $10.5 million in salary cap tied into Kari Lettinen and Antti Niemi. So then the Sharks will go to LA right after for a back-to-back because the league is doing another one of these stupid traveling back-to-backs. I know it's a short flight and everything, but I cannot fathom why they continue to do these. Sharks did win their last travel back-to-back to LA, though, so pretty comfortably, if I recall correctly.
Do you think we see Aaron Dell in either of these games?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Aaron Dell will never play again. He's dead. Have you seen Aaron Dell lately?
His beard's looking scruffy.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to confirm that he's actually alive.
Yeah. No, he's on the bench. He's wearing the hat. He's got a beard.
Are you sure it's actually him?
Yeah, he could have been replaced with a life model decoy. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just worried. I'm worried about him. Aaron, if you're in trouble, next time you're out there, right, exactly. Put the hat on backwards at the 10-minute mark of the second period, and we will send help. Okay. We're here for you, buddy. Okay, let's start to wrap this up so you can actually go to this practice. In
World Juniors, right?
World Juniors, yes. Rudolf Balcers and Joachim Blichfeld. Those are a couple of Sharks prospects for who did I say is first? Balcers? Yeah, so Balcers for Latvia, Blichfeld for Denmark. Both scored yesterday, which is great because neither of them are long for this tournament. Both of them lost pretty terribly yesterday, and they will likely continue to do so throughout the rest of this tournament. But it's nice to see them get on the score sheet. Neither of those guys are high draft picks by any means. Blichfeld was the 7th rounder for the Sharks in 2016. Balcers was a little bit higher, and I think that's a 2015 draft pick. So it's nice to see. Yeah, the Sharks don't have a lot of guys; they only have 3 guys. Yeah, Karlis Kuksi is the other guy. He's also for Latvia, and he hasn't scored either. I mean, he's a defender, so not really expected to. And also for Latvia, so they've scored now, I think, twice in 2 games. So not a whole lot of scoring going on for that team. Canada has rolled in their first 2 games. The U.S. has only played once. They play again today. I'm not really a big World Junior guy, except for when the Sharks guys are involved, and they're not going to be involved for much longer. That being said, Latvia and Denmark will both be playing their quote unquote easier, more winnable games here coming up in a couple days. So those will be worth watching, if for no other reason than these guys might have a chance to score some more goals. So
yeah, Latvia gets the Slovaks on Friday. Denmark gets the Swiss the same day. Denmark plays the Czech Republic tomorrow, and then Latvia plays Canada tomorrow.
Okay, so don't watch that one.
But nice to see them doing well. They're not playing on great teams, but they are playing very good competition. So it's nice to see. Nice to see them doing well against peers in their age group, even if maybe the peers on their own team aren't as good as definitely aren't as good as the peers on opposing teams.
Can confirm, not good. Yeah. Very bad. Yes. So that's cool. And it's cool to see them get recognized for that. And it's really ramps up the difficulty when you're playing with guys that can't compete with the guys on the other side of the ice. So that's definitely something to keep an eye out on. So, some quick notes. Let's see. Fear the Fin Night is coming up on January 14th against the Blues. We've got some links on that on the site. We just launched some cool T-shirts that you can buy if you're heading out there to join us. That's all up on the site now. That's all on the front page. So the Sharks aren't in action again until Friday. We'll do another podcast probably again on Sunday or Monday after this weekend. And that's probably pretty much it. You can follow us on Twitter at Fear the Fin, Marcus at Marcus P. White, me at Jake Sundstrom. Marcus will have some stuff today from practice. You should follow him on Twitter because he's going to probably tweet some stuff.
Yes, I will. I will definitely. I can't confirm. I will tweet some stuff.
He's going to tweet some stuff.
Oh, the Denmark beat Finland yesterday.
They did. Yes, that's right.
So
Finland has they were outshot something like 30-6.
Okay, got it. Finland was or
Yeah.
Denmark was?
Denmark was.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey,
It's
short
not been a
tournament.
great tournament for Finland.
No.
So, yeah. Pour one out for my Finnish ancestors. Poor guys. Okay, all right, we're wrapping it up. Go get in your car. You're let me see, let me guess. You're Geo
No.
Metro? No. Honda Civic.
No. Saturn or a
Toyota.
Green Line hybrid.
He just made that up.
I did not. It's the name of the car. You could Google.
That's
Can
not a
confirm.
real car.
That is a real car.
Nope. That
It is real.
okay.
I'm
maybe if it's
I'm in a Flintstones type vehicle where I run my feet and I drive.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they could sponsor the show if that company still exists. Okay, well, sounds good. Well, we'll talk to you guys on Sunday and or Monday. Great. I can't wait. Good night, people.